Hi, guys, and we're here to talk about all things relationships. I just saw this article. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Friday podcast.
Friday. Okay, well, let's just roll with this again.
I don't know if it was on a Tuesday or Friday that we talked about my bladder infection, but I want everyone to know, update, it's gone. So the pills worked and I'm better and I don't have a pee problem anymore. That's your good news Friday.
So happy with that.
Yes, and I also just want to mention that
You've been cleared for sex.
That I have the sample of the wallpaper the new wallpaper in my car, and I will bring it in and we will have a look-see.
Oh my gosh, and I have all of your things in the back of mine.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
You mean my plates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel good about that?
Yeah.
I saw this article that I'm trying to find. So basically I'm sitting there and we look at things to talk about because sometimes we can't get organized to get confessions, okay? So because it's our life. So I'm looking at this thing and it goes, what's the point of marriage? And then it was like, oh, this seems like, when you say it, it's like, that seems boring. So I'm trying to find that for you because it kind of goes on to the heels of when you were like, I never thought I'd be married this long. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, thank you for saying this because this is so, now I never had that thought. I don't do that thought.
Yeah.
You think so much more than me.
Well, I also think that the majority of people think I'm going to get married and I'm going to stay married because that's when you get married, you stay married. Like, that's just what you do. And then, because that's tradition. That's the way it's supposed to go.
I guess, as you get older, and I think that so many people if you talk about it, then you have a problem with it. And I'm like, this is not about having a problem with it. It's about understanding relationships in your life and why you do things at the age of 20 versus 30 versus 40 versus 50, because why you got married at 23 or 29 or 30 or 35 is not why you're still married at the age of 40. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it doesn't change, then you probably got a problem. Like, you probably should have different reasons for why you're still married.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's not love. Because, maybe it's love, but it's so much more than,
look at your tangled.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more than, it should be, my point is it should be more than love, because if it's not more than love, what have you been doing for the past 20 years? Like, really, what have you been doing?
Yeah.
Like, you really,
your life's got to be really boring if it's just love, that other things haven't come into play.
If you're like, it's because I love you, it's kind of like, if that's it, I don't know if it should be so much more. Is that right? Am I right in that?
Yes. Okay. Because there's so many more pieces to your life now that weren't around back then. Family.
Here it is. It goes like this, okay? It goes, seriously. Okay, this is like one of the leading couples therapy. It's the Gottman Institute, but it's like, seriously, what's the point of marriage? Seriously. Okay. If you're not religious, because obviously if you're very religious, you know what it is. But if you're not religious, like 90% of the people married, that's probably a lie, but whatever. Large percentage who are married.
And back in the day when we asked this question, I was like, if I really had to think about it, dual income.
So now there's okay. The point, are you ready? What dual income? Do you have any other idea what might be?
Well, okay, dual income, I would say when you have kids, splitting the tasks so one person doesn't have to do everything.
Okay.
Another reason you get married is, I guess, so you have somebody to do things with.
But the whole point, well, I'm not going to tell you the whole point of this article.
Sharing chores.
So work-oriented.
Yeah.
Only work-oriented would be your...
And then, I guess some people get lonely, so not having to live in your house alone.
Okay.
I'm just going to
maybe you could get a dog.
Thing. Yeah, it's not a human. One other thing is I would say mostly work stuff, because I'm like, sometimes if you have a problem, you have somebody to
I'll solve it.
Yeah, you'll solve it. And the other reason for marriage would be, well, to make babies, but that's whatever.
For some.
Why else would I want to be married?
My favorite,
safety?
Yeah. In numbers.
Yeah.
So those plural marriages are locked and loaded.
If there's a problem, there's like two of you to like beat up the robber.
That's very true. Is unending happiness the goal? Question mark. Sounds boring, period. That's from them. Okay. So like just happiness. Like, is it just happiness? Because you're like, what? Because that is so lame. That's a lame thing.
Plus I wouldn't look to my partner to bring me happiness.
You're just so evolved. It's just so crazy. So crazy. You're so crazy in this journey.
That's so crazy.
You're so crazy that you think about that. Since when did the pinnacle of a relationship achievement become existing in a constant, unchanging state of happiness, simplicity, and total safety? When did the fantasy of "and they lived happily ever after" stop being the end of a storybook for kids and turn into literal life goals? I don't remember providing your partner with an endless supply of happiness. Being in the details for me and my wife when we signed up for marriage. So like being like, we are going to be endlessly happy. How it should be is happiness is great, but it's necessary in all aspects of life, not just your marriage. And I think that's what you're saying. Happiness is also a fluid emotion that comes and goes. So I think what they're saying, happiness is not a strong, stable foundation upon which building committed relationships can last on. It's a fleeting and constantly in flux and unstable. So we need to stop saying happiness is the end and all goal, because then you're just constantly disappointed by, that's so good to know.
It is good to know. You know, I was just thinking about vows and the things that they say. One thing I think that is really is a good vow when they say in sickness and in health.
Yeah.
I think that's one that like, if
that's commitment.
Yeah, that's commitment. Like that's a good one. Richer and poor. I don't know about that one.
Sustained happiness is arguably the most ineffective goal you could set for your relationship because it's not possible to achieve. The reality of happiness, just like any other emotion, is that it comes and goes, just like the in-laws during the holidays, 80s fashions, or stomach cramps.
Yeah.
The hard, cold truth is the point of marriage is not happiness. The point of marriage is growth.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
I know, but nobody says that.
Yeah.
No one's like, I'm growing, he's growing, we're doing great. It's like, are you happy?
Oh, right.
Like it should be like, did you grow this year? Did he grow this year? What did you grow in? And not just your Pellini, not your salami.
Yeah.
You know, like what grew?
Yeah.
Because I wonder how many people could answer that and say, nothing. Nothing grew. They didn't grow. I didn't grow. We didn't grow.
I mean, I think just being alive, we grow.
I don't think so.
I do think so, because I think that every day, you know, and they say you learn something every day. I feel like my brain grows every day by whether it's an interaction I have with someone, something I learn, or something in the news.
You think of the people who wake up, eat the same, drink the same coffee, eat the same breakfast, walk the same path, go on the same train, get off the train, go to the same job, because not many people have jobs or are willing to look around to grow. Then come home, eat dinner at the same time.
Watch the same potentially biased news station. So you're hearing the same thing
over and over again, which they say over and over again, the same thing. Go to bed at the exact same time and then wake up and do it again, Monday through Sunday. I think a lot of people do that. They have, I would think that's why I say go to our shows as an example, because let's just say it's a Thursday night. You won't remember that Thursday night because you'll do the exact same thing you usually do. It's when you go and do something different that makes you want to. And that's why when I think about it and we're having this conversation, I do think date night can be important because it is something different than the monotony that you do all the time. So other than just making like connections, I think it makes your relationship different than what it is 90% of the time.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Because I think we put these big like goals, and then when you go out and you're like, oh, we didn't talk about this, or this. I don't know if that matters. I think what matters is changing the routine.
Being in a different setting.
That brings growth in conversation. You try a new restaurant. You can offer something. Oh, did you go here? Did you try that? Did you do this?
Yeah. And I really feel I very much crave, like my mind says I don't know that I don't hear a lot of people saying this because either they do it or they don't want to.
Yeah.
But I really, I want to do more things. Like we live in a city that has so much to offer, and I want to, but then when I'm at my house, I don't want to go.
Sleep. I don't want to get out of my bed.
But I tell myself, like, I really want to go to more just like, the comedy shows, but not the big ones, but just like, I want to go to more of those things.
Yeah.
But two things come to my mind. Every time you leave the house and you go do something, it seems to be so expensive.
I know.
And then the second thing is just like, yeah, like going, like, and then you're like, well, maybe, you know what? In the spring and summer, I'm going to start going out more, but because it's cold too. But then every time, like, I always have this thought when I'm driving the kids around in the evening, and I drive by any busy street, and I look inside restaurants, and I see like so many. It could be like a Monday night, and I'm driving. Like, there's so many people out. Like they're all like people are walking around, people are doing things. It's only 6:30, but for me 6:30, I'm like I'd like it to be over. Like I just,
I think it might
hit.
I think it's because we're home.
What do you mean?
Like, I think if we work downtown, I think we would probably, like, you're downtown, like, let's just go out. Like, come meet me downtown. If you and your husband work downtown, you'd be like, you know what? Let's go for a drink before we go home. If the problem is we are home with the kids, it is so much harder to maneuver your life when you are responsible for 3 other people. But when you have someone, like, let's just say we had a nanny or and you have that taken care of.
Those people probably go out more and do more things.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm trying to make myself feel better.
I mean, I see on social media, like, I feel like people are out.
And even the people who put their kids in daycare, the people who do daycare or like home daycare or have nannies, I feel like they're better at maneuvering. Just tell me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like they may be better at
I agree.
doing something for themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're used to it more than when we are home with them all the time.
Yeah.
Because pulling in people to do it is so much, it's just more work.
Yeah.
It's almost like this is just too much work. You're like, you, it's easier for just like,
yeah,
I'll do it. It's really the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll go.
And my kids were always really bad at like being dropped off at play dates or going to birthday parties or being dropped off at school. And I always was like, the people who have, and there could be people that their moms are stay-at-home moms and they homeschool and they're really good at going off and doing things. So I mean,
lots of those.
So it could be me and my kids, but I always was so the word isn't jealous and it's not envious, but
inspired.
I was gonna say is inspired by people who could just drop their kids anywhere. Yeah. And they never would consider that the kid would have any sort of anxiousness about being dropped off and having their mom late.
Oh no.
It never crossed my mind.
No.
So I always said like daycare is probably, if you're listening, send your kid to daycare.
If you're feeling bad about something. Like if you're like, I couldn't, it's not terrible.
Yeah. No, I think it makes them better.
Yeah. And more capable. I like, if you guys don't know the Gottman Institute, I actually really like their whole theories, but I like that they say, pleasing your partner means you make sure they are happy and comfortable and worry-free, and there will be times you must do that. But if that's your primary goal, it might cause you to be overly agreeable, accommodating, even when your partner isn't kind or hurtful. And we all make those mistakes, but pleasing your partner also means shielding your partner from anything that can make them feel challenged or uncomfortable. So when we're always making sure that when you're trying to make someone else happy, you basically are doing them a disservice. It's so much like children. Because when you just clear the path for them, because you're just like, I just want you to be in a good mood. Like, I actually don't want you to figure out why you're in a bad mood or like why you're cranky. You're like, I'm just going to fix this. You don't grow. We just get stuck in the same thing over and over. And I think women are so incredible at fixing everything into a fault, like to a thing to just make it better. I'm just going to make it better. I'm just going to like, this is just easier if I make it better. I'm just going to fix the mood in the house. So let's just go, I'm going to book the date night. I'm going to book the babysitter. I'm going to book the trip. And
it's hard because I think, and probably not everybody thinks this, but when I'm thinking about you and me, I'm like, we also know that we're faster, we're smarter. Like,
I would say, you know what, smarter is tricky. I think we just move at a faster pace.
Yeah.
I think for us, I don't know about everybody, but for you and me and like women that I know, it's like you don't have, if I am wrong, like please tell me in the comments.
I don't think tell them in the comments, but I don't think there's any right or wrong. There's different perspectives.
I was going to say that I feel like women, if there was like a pie, there's 75 slivers and we can just move through them so quickly. I feel like men eat each pie, each flavor at a different rate. So it's like apple pie. Then they go to blueberry pie. We have all of them in one pot and we go like this. Where they're like this. Done. Like,
and that's why it's so much easier, I think, for women to just take care of things, because we're like, if it needs to be done, we're just going to get it done, and we're going to do it fast, and we're not going to think too much about it, and we're just going to carry on. But sitting back and letting them figure it out is part of their growth. It's just so much.
But they have to know they have to grow. So tricky. No, it's so tricky. It's so tricky because as you watch your children like grow up and like in your own relationships, and you can see that they can now watch your relationship. Like they can now.
It's very interesting.
And they have a perception on you and him and then your relationship.
Yeah, guys, that's weird. If you have little kids, you never think that they're going to be analyzing your relationship with you and your husband, but when they get to that age, they are watching, because now they're seeing their friends' parents, they're seeing their grandparents, they're seeing their aunts and their uncles, and they're seeing all the different dynamics, and they are so in tune with knowing.
So crazy.
Like if you were to ask any of your kids, like think about aunt and uncle or this people, what are the two of them like together? They will know.
So
and they know the differences. They see the different power dynamic, like who's in charge in that relationship, who's the boss.
It is. That's when you begin to be like, oh, kind of
self-conscious. Yeah.
Oh my God, are they watching? Like they're watching us right now. This is so weird to have like an audience within your relationship when you're like trying to get things out. Like it's weird. Like
I also think it's like girls now are so much even more about the non-traditional equality, that when they watch us do anything that's kind of like traditional, they're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Watch us do it.
Yeah. Like they're like, well, why would you do that? Like, why would you like any of those things? Like, what the hell? You know?
They're like, you're an independent woman. What are you doing? You're like, wait, I know I am, but I'm also doing it. Like, it's good. Like, we're all good. Everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be like to watch our daughters be in like the relationships that they go through, especially if the boys don't have sisters. To see like I feel like so many boys are gonna need like some like real ass kicking to learn what it's like to date a girl in 2025. Like
imagine you went back out dating now and what we know and at the gap, if you dated someone older, do they know? Like, do they know how you're supposed to be now? Like, are you aware of what it's like? Because I feel like they might not be aware of what it's like right now.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what you're supposed to be and not be?
Yeah.
Although some people don't like that. You know what I mean? You know, the traditional relationships of, some people just like roles. Like they like a defined role that I take care of him.
Yeah.
She takes care of me.
Yeah.
I do this. She does this. That works. I think you and I are like, like where I think
some people like it's not necessarily about them being like old fashioned or traditional.
No,
it's how they like to be in a relationship.
And some women just like to be in a role. Like they like to know, I do this, you do this. Like I do you do the garbage cans, and I mow the lawn or whatever the thing is. And it's like you don't talk about those jobs, and then it just happens, and then you just go and do those jobs without even talking about it. Like you cook. Like, can you imagine your husband just started cooking when you got home? You probably wouldn't like that, to be honest with you. If he started cooking every night.
No,
I actually
just took my job.
So this is what I do, but he's never been like, hey, I'm going to cook 4 days a week. Do you mind? You like this. Wow. And he's like, you're going to pick up driving. Like, fuck no.
You know, I was thinking, I think what can happen in a marriage and relationship is the division of labor is uneven, and they fight it and they're mad about it and stuff. I was thinking in our relationships, the division of labor, I feel like is really good. Like when I think about what your husband does and then what you do,
he does so much.
but you do so much.
Yeah, I do too.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
I feel we don't fight about labor.
No, but I think that's like one of the things that works for our relationships is that we're really good at this. Like everybody's working hard.
Yeah.
I think that some marriages really do break down when they don't have a proper division of labor or, because you kind of have to know what people what jobs people want and like to do. And then you have to let them do their thing and you do it something else.
So weird because we were talking about Mel Robbins' book, Let Them. And I was reading. I haven't read the book, so I can't, I've heard some things on it. I can't have an opinion because I haven't read it. So I can't say like, oh, it does this. However, if you look at every single problem in a marriage, if you like to break it down, where does it break? A relationship. I'm not even gonna say marriage. I'm going to say relationship. It's often your perception, their perception, and it's always the other person's at fault. Very rarely can someone else, or someone's always the victim, or someone's always like, they personalize someone else's behavior to be something it's not. So it's really a miscommunication. Mm-hmm. So like if you think of a fight that you and your spouse or partner constantly have, if you were to actually sit down and then be like, okay, this is our fight, and then peel it apart and then go, okay, when you feel this, when else have you felt this in your life? They'd be like, they would have to dig deep.
Oh yeah, that could take a long time.
Okay, but if you want to grow, if you want to dig deep, then you could actually stop living in this like, oh my God, you make me feel like this. Well, you make me feel like this, because at the end of the day, no one can make you feel like anything. You choose to react how you feel based on your past experiences. And what pisses you off is different than what pisses me off. But you're allowed to get pissed off. But if I'm aware what pisses me off, then I can be like, I'm pissed off right now. And it might be hormones at a time. But if I might say like, it annoys me when you do this because of this is mine, but I'll work on it. But I'm annoyed right now and I'm allowed to be, but like, just give me a minute, rather than like, you fix you, change this, do this. We would be in such a different fucking world, because when she says let them, it's like you're letting go of something. You're not changing anything. You're letting go of the feeling, which is great in some cases.
But you're not really working through or communicating what's really happening.
And why it bothers you. So what bothers me about what you're doing right now, and what in my past is making me feel this way? Because every emotion you have is from something that's happened. You've created a narrative based on something. You felt left out. You weren't good enough.
We're a product of our experiences in history.
We're like a little bag of like issues that walks around, and it's whether or not, and everyone's got it. No one's fucking issue free. So if you think you're issue free and it's always someone else's fault, you're so
you actually have the biggest problems.
Yeah. But a lot of people like to just send quotes over of how to fix yourself, and you're kind of like, no, dude, like it's so simple but so complicated because it's so easy to blame everyone but yourself. And sometimes people are just dickbags. I'm not going to tell people they're not. And some people just really are so unaware that they really are the problem. Like sometimes people really are the problem. But most of it, if you're annoyed, it's something to do with you. Because think of the people who don't get annoyed often. It's usually you're annoyed that someone's annoyed at you. Not you, but people like very self-aware people. You don't really get annoyed at other people's behaviors that often.
Yeah.
Just food for thought.
Yeah.
If what people do around you doesn't irritate you, people could say like you're emotionally numb, or it's probably, you know yourself pretty well, and you know why you feel how you feel. So it's sort of like,
I mean, on a very basic level, it's like, well, I mean,
you know what I'm saying, right?
Yes. It's like,
I'm not going to blame you for how I feel. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I know, she flip it. Sorry. In my head too. We're in fucking jungle.
We're in the jungle.
It's just so basic that it hurts my brain sometimes. But when someone's mad or upset or frustrated with you, especially in a close relationship, or like when it's your parent, or like when it's so close to touch, it usually has nothing to do with you. Because if you're not mad and you don't get mad at people's behavior, like my kids can't piss me off.
Oh my God. I'm like, you can't hurt my feelings. Like,
it's the same thing. Hurting your feelings is the same. Like, it's just the way you're saying it. But you really can't. My kids can't. Like, what are you going to say? I'm like, well, I love you.
Yeah.
And if you don't love me right now, that's okay. Like, I'm good. I'll always be here for you.
Yeah.
I'll always love you.
Yeah.
And if you tell me you don't want to go with me, okay.
Yeah. That's fine. You know, when people, in that, people take things so personally, but they don't really know why they're taking it so personally.
They're taking it personally because I hate this. Like, I hate that it goes back to your past. I personally wish there is therapies where it's not about your past, but how you feel is about your past. End story. There's no other way, because you create your whole identity based on what you've lived. So whether you had no trauma in your life, whatever happened, you created a story in your brain when you were too young to even talk about what something looks like. And then you feel it when you get older based on a whole world. That's why they say the years before 5, because you've created this whole freaking thing and then you live it. And if you can't think about what happened in the past to make you understand what irritates you so much, then you have to really think back. And if you're not willing to think back and just get annoyed over the same thing over and over again, that's not growth.
And usually, you can look back and you can think it's really like complicated, but things that really bother you or that can touch your feelings it's like, don't think too hard. It's pretty basic.
I know.
It's really not that hard to find.
I know. I also, I feel like it sounds like I'm talking about nothing, but talking about something. It's like, I feel like I'm saying absolutely nothing, because it's like, if you don't know, then it's like, it's hard to explain to someone.
Yes, it really is.
But if you know, then you're like, yeah, I get it.
You know what I find with that is like along those lines is when someone says, just be confident. Like, it's like, but with a person who's not confident, it's like, but how do you do that? I don't understand how you can't just turn it on. But somebody's confident, it's like, just be confident.
In your relationship, though, if you live on making someone else happy, if you think a lot of young people, if you're frustrated at the way they are, if you're frustrated at someone for not being what you want them to be, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
That won't change.
Yeah.
It will keep coming back over and over and over again. And that's why when I think we say the people we married us for us, like, I don't think fundamentally we've changed that much. I think we've grown a ton, but I don't think we've fundamentally changed. I think you grow and change, which is very different than changing. But they accepted us for like the core of like our things. But I think that in order to keep your relationship at like a fun, high pace, you both have to look at growth as a tool in marriage, not just like date night, like also to grow as a person, because there's a lot of shit that went on back there. And if you're married to someone for a long time and they do things and they can see their parents do it and then they do it, but they're not aware they're doing it.
Oh, so many people cannot see that.
I know.
They cannot see that they're doing things like how their parents did them.
And I can see when I'm doing my mom. I'm like, oh my God, I am my mom. Oh my gosh, my mom right now.
Yes.
Like, I know exactly where I got this. I'm like, oh, I know this. I know this behavior.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes I'll do something. I'm like, oh, I know where that's from.
Yeah.
I know the exact moment that happened. I'm like, yeah, that's how I was raised. Like, they did that, so I do that. Yeah. And if I didn't like it, I'd change it. But mom, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like we complicate everything so much. It's so basic. That's why Mel Robbins is just so freaking successful.
Because it's so basic.
It really is so basic.
I know.
But it's like you speak to someone who doesn't want to hear it. It's like you just got to hear it, accept it, and then we can all move on. No, we won't. We won't. We'll continue to be like
and people. A lot of people need to hear it from someone else. But if like for the people who like those people, and even like a lot of therapists and everything is, a lot of people don't go to them once.
Oh no.
Right. So if you really heard it, you wouldn't need to go back again.
Yeah, but it's a habit.
Yeah.
And you have to be remindful. It's not a word, but remindful of the habit. Like you have to work on it. It's like work. Who has the time to fucking work on your baggage that you brought up?
I know.
But if you think you don't have baggage, you do. And wonder if everyone asks their partner, do you have baggage? Like emotion, do you have baggage? Like, do you know what you came with?
Yeah.
Like,
and
do you know your issues?
And are you okay with them?
That should be a great question.
Do you know your issues?
I mean, is that a red flag? I don't know in the dating world. Like, are you aware of your issues these days? Like, do you know that? And if they're like, no, red flag.
Yeah.
Like if I was to go back into the dating world, I should tell my kids.
Do you know your issues?
Do you know what they are? And like, what are you working on to get them better?
Yeah.
We would be so single.
Yeah. I actually feel like I don't mind my issues.
No, I know, but you could say them.
I could say them, but I would be like, but I'm not going to be changing them. So,
but you could say them. At least you know.
Yeah.
At least you know. Oh my God, these are my. What are your issues? I probably know them too.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go through that.
Give me one. I'll give you one of mine. You give me one of yours. I'll give you one of mine, and then we're going to end this.
Choosing which one.
Yeah, give me one. I'll think of mine.
I mean, okay, I'm going to give a really basic one.
Yeah. You don't have to go into your deepest dark. You don't have to go deep.
Okay.
Just stay surface.
This be really. If you don't like people who have toxic positivity,
yes,
and just are like, everything's going to be fine.
That's you.
And then you probably won't like to be around me.
Oh, okay. So you are toxically positive.
But like, like nothing is the end of the world. Oh, and if you don't like to talk about death.
Right, death. That's a big one for you.
You're not going to like me because
But do you know where your death issue comes from?
I think that I actually just think I'm a realist.
You look really pretty right now.
What?
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on. I'm not attracted to you, but yes.
That's so weird. My hair,
I think the lighting's really good. And your red tans are pretty. It's a nice glow. Sorry. Death, where does death come from?
I think it's part of just like other things. But I think it's being real. Like,
and it probably comes from someone in your life who you're very close to, who was very like, but you're probably like, wait, what? It was probably your whole life. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, what a minute. What? So you just want to be okay with it, even though you know you might not be when people around you die. Because you also hate when people die.
Oh.
And you hate when people are sad.
Oh.
But you want to talk about dying all the time. But when it happens, you're like, you don't want to go to funerals. You don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to go to funerals.
You don't want to deal with anything to do with death.
Yeah, and I don't like the way how people behave. I don't like that. I'm sorry, I don't like that people are sad.
I know.
About it.
I know.
Because it could be really fun.
Well, for some.
You never know, though.
Well, yeah, you have.
I think my husband thinks it's scary dying.
Yeah, some lots do.
But you don't know that it's going to be scary. It could be great.
So it's coping for you. But because you want the people who die to be great. But you don't want them to
just
be sad.
But you do understand what I'm saying is that it might be great.
I do, but you're thinking, but you want them to be okay when they die.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, you care about them so much. I want you to be okay when you die, because
I didn't really think about them.
Well, you do though, because you want everyone to be happy that that someone's died.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, you want them to be like, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be great.
Yeah.
Which goes back to everything's just fine.
Everything's going to be fine.
Because the people you love, you want them to know that they're going to be great.
Yeah.
You don't want them to be anything but great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you do feel deeply. Sorry. That's something you do.
Yeah.
You just don't like to think about it.
Yeah. Or talk about it.
And we don't talk about it. So everything is just fine.
Yeah. If you're okay with not talking about stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about, don't marry me.
If you want to go deep,
don't marry me.
Yeah, but you are deep.
Yeah.
You know that.
That's private. That's private. You?
That's private. That's not what I am.
It's private.
Me, I have weird sleeping shit.
Oh yeah.
Really weird
So
sleeping shit.
weird.
It's yeah, fuck.
You do that even at home.
I'm a weirdo.
No, but what you do in our hotel, you
Yeah.
do at your house every night.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
I don't know how you breathe.
I need big control issues with sleep. I need to have a bed. I need to have a good bed. I need to have the right sheets. If there is a pubic hair in my sheet, I am out. It's a massive problem.
Even if it's wrong.
I don't really shed pubic hair.
I know.
It's very weird.
That must have been a man's head.
Dude, that was a pubic hair on that hotel. I will open the hotel bed. If I see a pubic hair, I'm not getting in the bed.
It's so true. I don't shed pubes either.
No.
But I feel like in the past I've seen pubes, but they're not mine. But like,
oh, they're your husband's or they
I don't see my husband's pubes either.
They're like hair, you know what I mean? Like, so I definitely,
I think it's because my pubes probably used to be longer and curlier and stuff. So
yeah, I would say I have control issues, 100%, lots of round control, like, and not controlling other people, but in and around like moods. And I would say like, I don't do well with other people's input in terms of what's happening in my world. Like, I don't do well with that. Like, this is how it is. Don't come in, including my poor husband, which I'm working on.
Oh yeah.
Because he,
is that right? Are you really?
Yeah, because my kids can't handle negative listening. Like someone negative, like, or getting mad at me. Everyone's like, they yelled at me. That was not yelling. They just talked to you in a different voice. I got to work on that. I'm working on it. I said, I got to, I'm like, I'm going to start. I got to work on different emotions over here. Like, cause I will get quiet. I'll get disappointed, but I don't have many. I don't lose my shit. Just fix the fucking problem. There's no choice. So I think that I don't allow lots of room for anything other than, problem solving. We move through problems very quickly. I'm just gonna fucking fix it. You got a problem?
I'll solve it.
And I don't mean your emotions. Talk about your fucking emotions all day, but I will fix your problem. I will call the doctor. I'll Google the shit. I will find the thing. I will take you for the thing. We fixing it and moving on. I don't like problems so if you have a headache, I'm gonna fix it. If you have a headache, why? If you have a headache for a year, why? Fix it. I'm not saying that. So, I mean, yeah, control, sleeping. A few things I'm working. I'm aware. Counting to 5 before I jump in.
I'm not planning on working on mine.
I'm fine with that.
Good.
I know yours.
I know this is going great. This relationship. Accept each other for who we are. Yeah, I was like, that's cool. Yeah. I know you. That's cool. I'm fine with that. I'm cool. It is what it is.
We know. We know. It's good. It's fine. We're great.
Sweetheart, this is working out. Okay?
We've really grown.
We've really.
Yeah. We have the right control place. It's great. Yeah. It's going really well.
It is.
So anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.